Everyone, so welcome back. Thought we'd try something a little different today. I don't really have any watches to review, but I do kind of want to take a little dive into my thoughts about some of the new Rolexes that are out there. Let's jump into the most controversial one right off the bat, and it's the new GMT Master 2, green and black. The name is still out to be determined. A lot of people are calling it the Sprite. I know there's a lot of controversy. People are kind of pissed off because they're like, all you really did was make it left-handed. And as this article here says, that they think it's an ode to Rolex's left-handed CEO. But I personally have a different perspective on it. I think this is an ode to old pilots' watches. And I think Rolex kind of mentioned this previously. But I do think it's an ode to left-handed pilots' watches, because the crown, if you wore it on your left wrist, would dig in to your hand as you flew on the yoke, and pilots liked the crown on the left side. So I don't think this is really meant for left-handed people. I think this is a tribute to people wearing it on their left hand still, but with the crown facing left so it didn't dig into their hand. Sure, you can call it left-handed, but I personally don't think that that's what this is about. I do love the colorway. I think green and black with a black face is kind of cool. If you can get it for this 11 grand right now, I'd say, pounce on it. That's incredible. 70-hour power reserve is also really great. I don't know how many people are going to be diving with this. 40 millimeters. I was hoping this would maybe be 41, because I feel like 40 is starting to get a little bit small on some people's wrists for a GMT in these larger watches, especially with the sub being 41 now. I thought this would be 41, but that's, kind of surprising that it's not. But I do think either way, this is, right off the bat, I think a really cool release. It's different, everyone's kind of pissed off about it, but okay, if they came out with a different color combo bezel and it was something everyone was looking for, everyone would love it, and they wouldn't be, talking about it. But Rolex gave something for people to talk about with this, and I think that's really kind of cool, and it's definitely brought a lot of clicks and a lot of, people to the internet to either talk about it or complain about it. So I think, right off the bat, I'm fully on board with this one. I think it's awesome. Next up, we have the new Air King. This watch is really never sat with my eye very well. I think the face is a little too busy for me. But the changes, I think, are what people looked for. The 3, 6, and 9 are now loomed hands, same as the Explorer. The case shape is a little bit different. $7,400, I don't think that's terrible. It has the same power reserve as the GMT, which is kind of cool. But this, I don't know why, but this watch has really never really done it for me. It's the same exact size as the old one at 40 millimeters. I know the case is reshaped. It's narrower. It doesn't really do it for me, though. I guess they made it look a little larger, even though it's the same exact size. But it doesn't sit for me as a new watch or even a redesign. I think this is the one that people should be the most pissed off about, because I think this is, personally, in my opinion, the weakest watch in the Rolex collection. I don't think there's much about this that people are really looking for. The movement is the same. They didn't really do much to this watch that, sure, the case, to me, I guess, to the naked eye, looks much more Explorer-like, when the other one, to me, didn't really. But I don't see, I'm trying to not be, some people make fun of me for this, and, I get it. But I'm not, the whole point of this channel for me is that I'm not a watch expert. I'm doing this as a lover of it. So I'm looking at this watch right now without doing a ton of research and knowing every little intricacy about it, because I think that takes the fun out of it. And to me, with the naked eye, there's not much about this watch that looks even remotely different for me to even care that it was redesigned. The new number hand 3, 6, and 9 is all I see here, and that doesn't really make me love that or care much. So this, to me, is a no for the release. This is what I think everyone should be kind of pissed off about, personally. Up next, we have the new 36 and 40 millimeter Oyster Perpetuals. These are in platinum with the ice blue dial, which is a combination that's already out there, but now they've started putting the fluted bezel on them. And I think that is a real game changer for this watch. Previously, the fluted, I believe, only came in gold. But they look incredible. It's a great watch, I believe, for dressy purposes, but I think it's an equally great watch to dress down in, wear a t-shirt and jeans, if you can afford it, that is. They're claiming that price and availability is on request. I think it's probably going to be 35, 40, 50 grand for this thing, and it's probably going to secondary go for 100 grand, so it's definitely not going to be a watch for everybody. Case material is 950 platinum, and it is the presidential style bracelet, and I think that's, personally, in my opinion, one of the nicest bracelets Rolex makes. It's a cool mix of, to me, Jubilee and Oyster. The links are a little bigger than the Jubilee, and it kind of has Oyster Flex vibe to it. But I think it's an incredible watch. This is another one that it's not the only change, in my opinion, here, without really diving into the minutia of this, is the bezel. And I'm sure people now are going to start putting this bezel onto the watches they already own and creating a crazy secondary market of fakes. Not fakes, but watches that aren't actually this model. But this is another very, very subtle change in this new collection that Rolex is putting out that isn't, an insanely different watch, but I think it's a gorgeous watch. And I don't know if the old one had that blue hand, but just noticing it now, that's really nice. And I think the two different colored blues have a nice contrast to them. But this, if I could own this watch, this would be the grail of my collection. I don't need a Patek. This is, to me, the nicest presidential day date out there. I love the ice blue, and platinum is, always gorgeous. So this, to me, I think is my favorite watch of the collection that they just put out for 2022. Now we have the new Yacht Masters. One of these has been very heavily publicized, this here in yellow gold. They're both 42 millimeters. The yellow gold doesn't really do it for me. I think it's a little kind of gaudy. I don't know why you would want yellow gold, but also on a rubber bracelet. I guess some people want that, but to me, the Yacht Master is kind of like the dress down, relaxed kind of sub-type vibe that I get. Obviously, they're not comparable, but that's the vibe I get. You're on the water, you're sailing, rubber strap, stainless steel, cool. But this new dial is insane to me. They're calling it the Falcon Eye, I believe. Let me see. It says it up here at the top. Yeah, Falcon's Eye. And it has this really cool kind of like grain to it. It's kind of got these lines running throughout it. I think it's one of the cooler dials I've seen Rolex do. I don't know if they're all going to look exactly the same or if they can be slightly different texture-wise on each one that comes out, kind of the way like abalone works, where they're all the same general, vibe, but they have different feels for, not feels, but they look different depending on where it's cut. I don't know if they're all going to have this same Falcon's Eye look with the kind of lighter patch across the middle and the texture throughout it, but I think this is a stunning looking face. I don't know how much, not money-wise, but how many of them there'll be in the stores. I feel like this might be a little more limited. They all have the rubber strap with glide lock. They're going to be somewhere between 28 and 33 grand. I think it's cool that they did it in gold, but I don't know why you would really be looking for it in gold. I think that's kind of a waste. But definitely, if you're in the market for a Yacht Master, go for that Falcon's Eye dial, because I think that's going to be one that in the future is super rare and everyone's going to be looking for it. It's always about the faces. You got the, the green dials, or you got the meteorite dials, and I'm sure 15, 20 years from now, everyone's going to be like, do you have a Falcon Eye available? And they're going to be super tradable and pricey. So if you can grab one, especially in that upper 20s, low 30s, I think it's going to be a great return on your investment in the future. The last one I'm going to go over here is the new Datejust 31. There are other variants in the collection out there. There's some green dials. There's some other day dates. Those, don't really strike me as too interesting. So if you want those, go to Rolex's website. You can check them out. I'll even jump back for you here. You can see here's the full collection. There's this other green one. There's some Everose and 36s. There's even some smaller lady ones. New Datejust 41 in the green dial. But I think this is really cool. And I think this is also going to be another limited edition face that I don't see being around for too long. It's 31 millimeters. It's 10 grand. And it's Azuro blue. And it's a floral motif. It's a really cool face, and I don't know how often they're going to be around. Obviously, it has, the oyster bracelet and a fluted bezel, but just the little diamonds as the center of the flower petals, the three-dimensional texture of it. It's clearly just a ladies' watch at this point, because I don't know too many guys wearing 31 millimeters, but if your wrist can pull off a 31 millimeter watch, I think this is insane. This is such a cool looking watch, and I'm sure they're not going to be around for a while, so try to grab one if you can. I don't know who's going to get them. I'm sure they're going to be a limited release, but even those, like, they almost look frosted, those other petals. You have the darker ones, and then you have the lighter colored ones. Then they kind of look frosted. I don't think they are, because Rolex doesn't do frosting really on any of their watches, but the diamonds as the center of the flowers and the Azzurro blue, I think it's a super cool watch. Rolex does this from time to time, and they put out these kind of floral motifs and different textured and patterned faces, but they're definitely not common, and I think they're super cool, and I think this is kind of the best looking one that I've seen in a really long time. And that's just my feeling on these new watches. Sorry, this is just really kind of a talking video for me if you made it this far. I'm sure most of you did not. I'll have some new videos coming out next week of actual new, not watches, but new watch related content. I just wanted to put something out and get something on the channel for you guys. I know I've been killing you guys with a lot of shorts lately. Just got to feed that YouTube algorithm, but thanks for let me know what you guys think about these new watches that are out there, and the things you think are cool, and tell me you hate me because of my opinions and how little I know about them. I'm used to it. Totally cool. I'll see you guys next week with something I think is going to be pretty cool, and until then, yeah, just comment below and let me know what you think.